Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, this little guy right here. Not so little, but just half the story. Where you can get that and my other books, go down in that description, hit my link tree up. You'll see my merchandise, everything. Got some pretty funny stuff happening. And what's always happened is how thankful I am for everybody here, for all the love, all the support, all the just amazing human beings that I'm meeting through this, and all the just bonds we're all making. I just think that's so cool. I just absolutely love it. And thank you so much for all the kindness, for always having my back, for everybody, everything. I really am thankful. So thank you so much, you guys. And today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to do a reading, but not from this book. We're going to do a reading because what people don't know is Dani and I originally were going to write a book together. There's my cat, if you can hear in the background. But Dani and I were originally going to write this book together. But life happens. You know, Dani had to pull back, and I ended up writing my own because I needed my voice to be heard, and she knew that. She understands that. She's fine with that. If she wants to write her own one day, she's got a great start because we're going to be writing from something that she wrote when we were doing a collaboration. So something nobody else has heard at all, ever. This is the only time you're probably going to hear it. And today we are going to have a little bit of left-hand brewing white Russian stout with some coffee and vanilla added. I haven't tried this. Now, white stouts are relatively new to me, you know, over the past couple years. But I tend to like them, and Left Hand Brewing does some really good brews. Ooh, yeah, here's that nitro. You heard that. So everybody, do what you want to do with your left hands. Kick up your feet. And let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. All right, let's see how this turns out. Let's see. It's got that stout thickness that I like. So we'll see how the flavor is. All right, cheers, big ears. It's kind of foamy, got a lot of head. Oh, there we go. Because of that nitro and stuff, it's going to be a little bit, it's going to take a minute to settle in. So looking good, actually. All right, cheers, big ears. That is so good. So stinking good, you guys. Not stinking, but really, really good. It's got that kind of stout richness, but without being too heavy. And the coffee nibs and the vanilla really balance out very, very well. So delicious. So I highly recommend it. Gonna swallow that over Kipwinger any day. All right, you guys. So let's get to reading. Like I said, we're going to read what Dani had sent to me one time, and with some really good stuff. All right. And this is the first time I've read this in probably 15 years. So if I'm not reading it perfectly, sorry, bear with me. All right. So the title was going to be The Band Game, because as a lot of people know that have gone through the Metallica videos, the band game was kind of a joke between us that our friend Petey, that we call him our cousin Petey. So he had kind of walked in while Dani and I were getting ready, delivering weed, you know, whatever, and was like, oh, the band, well, your girls are going to play the band game. And we told guys Metallica, and that's where I never cared for games. They played game. So, all right, now let's go up. But that was the original one. And she was like, maybe It's All in the Family might be another working title, because the underlying theme is things come full circle. So, all right. Now, just from the title alone, one would automatically draw certain conclusions. A million cliches come to mind, but music is a groupie's game board, and the pieces, why, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, of course, and the chips, the musicians, just pawns in a game to see how many chips we can collect, so we can proudly display our game pieces to all that who look or listen. And one could come to such conclusion upon first look. I'll trade you a bus driver and a rigger for one lighting guy. Oh, yeah, I'll see your lighting guy and raise you as sound man and a bass player. Yeah, well, I just about own the board with the tour manager and the lead singer. But those are what we call the bus girls, tub tots, back lounge girls, whatever you want to call them. But what we are talking about here is different. We are groupies, certainly. Naturally, in fact. But we are friends. We aren't muses because we don't want to be. We are the girls that made them become rock stars in the first place. We are what every man visualized when he played his first guitar in front of the mirror. We are the girls of rock and roll. You won't find us on the back lounge hastily reapplying our lipstick before getting shoved out the bus door. No, be serious. We are the girls who show up at the right restaurants because this is where we go. The right clubs because this is where we go. We are the girls they accidentally bump into, and we are the kind of girls they have to work for. Have to rely on who they are to pick us up, not what they are. You will never see us chase a rock star. They chase us. Of course, we all know it's a game. It's the band game, and we are good at it. We are the girls who laminates around our necks, drive over with the band and wait with them in their dressing rooms while the thousands of screaming fans wait for them. We are the girls who get them set to go on stage and pump them up to be rock and roll. We are their fuel, and we are real. And in the end, we are family. Now, these are Dani's words, but these are not just Dani's words. These are also the words of myself, the other groupies from the 80s. This is what we've been saying all along. And like I said, this is 15 years old. This is what Dani wrote. This is her own talent, her own words, her own feelings. So you guys can see where we're going, because not a single one of us ever once we never let ourselves be degraded. All right. And what they give us, that moment of being part of it, of being worshipped by those who are worshipped, getting to see places and do things we would otherwise never do. Some think we're just the sex part and they're the drugs and rock and roll, but we're not. We're much more than that. What we give them, a moment of being absolutely normal, of being just some person hanging out with friends and being totally their equal. One of the group, laughing over something only we would all understand. It's a perfect trade-off. And we all win in the band game. We are the girls. And this is our story. All right. So, and then it starts off. Now, this is kind of what she wrote more towards the book. That was more the introduction. So, she's setting the scene because a lot of people know that when John passed away, one of the places I went to hide was at Dani's. So, okay. Allison takes a long drag off her cigarette. She is full of anxiety. The past 8 months is finally going to be over. One way or another. Her friend was also full of anxiety, Dani thought. It wasn't her fault, though. She'd been at a really impressionable age when both their parents had divorced. She knew, because Dani and I grew up in the same town. We lived a couple of houses away from each other, knew each other from the time I was 6, she was 8 years old. So this is kind of setting that stage. You know, a lot of people kind of jokingly called us the sisters, like her mom would be all, where's your sister? She didn't have a sister, but anyway. So that meant me, and that meant, you know, where's your sister from another mother? You know, where's your neighbor's sister? My mom would say. So if we refer to sisters, that's how we kind of became the Salt Lake City sisters as well. So, all right. She knew that was a big part of laying the foundations. Hold on. She knew that was a big part of laying the foundations for the paths that she and her friend Allison would later take. It had only been Dani and Allison in the town during the worst of it. The late night battles, because both of our parents, like I said, divorced at the same time, and both of our mothers happened to wind up in Salt Lake City. Because my mother was a teacher and hers worked for Kennecott Mining, which is based out of Salt Lake City. My grandfather was president of it, stuff like that. And the mining families were always pretty close, you know, especially because you go through the strikes, and our fathers and mothers were both in management and stuff like that. So kind of the background on Dani and I, so you understand this a little better. Let's see, where am I? It had only been Dani and Allison during the worst of it. They only had each other to talk about the late night battles between their moms and dads that woke them from their sleep. The disrespect showed toward their mothers by their fathers had a profound impact on the girls. They realized that all men are eventually going to screw you over. And Allison in particular changed. She became full of fear, waking at all hours in the morning convinced she was going to die. Because I had this really, once I realized as a child that we died, it was like a big thing to me. Still to this day, I still kind of get that feeling as a child. I remember crying to my parents on the truck one night was we were taking a drive, and on the base of this truck, of this, old Chevy. So I'm like, I don't want it, because I had found my parents' wills. So Dani knows this about me, So you're going to find out things that maybe I won't even tell myself. So waking at all hours of the morning convinced she was going to die. When Dani's parents had packed up... Wait, what? Oh, okay. So I forget that we kind of wrote this amalgamated into somewhat fiction based on our experiences. But because I was like, wait a minute, what are we talking about here? Okay, so they both were just so fed up with it. They didn't know what to do. So they had packed up one night and hitchhiked to Seattle to start a new life. Dani somehow became the mother figure. She doted on Allison and kept a close eye on her wherever they went. Then Dani stumbled into the career that would change their lives. She met a club owner in Tacoma who used to manage bands. That's true. The woman took Amy, and that was Marie. That was, I just talked about the Rhino Humpers in Seattle. Marie was the drummer, Dani's mom. And she managed a lot of bands, and we did meet her. So she's kind of jumping over the whole Salt Lake City. Which, this was her story, and she should keep on writing, I think. I think this would be kind of a good playoff on what's happening now. But, all right. The woman took Dani under her wing and showed her the ropes. It gave both of the girls, a certain and regular access to everything from drugs to rock stars to houses and cars. With that, Dani and Allison anxiety grew, even to a stage of blackouts. Though it all, however, Allison never touched a drug, not even an aspirin. I never had blackouts. I did have anxiety attacks that left me very crippled, like convulsing. And Dani's the only one that knew how to calm me down. So, okay. And yeah, I didn't really ever touch drugs. I tried cocaine, and same with Dani. We tried coke a few times. Meh, no big deal, but we mostly drank and smoked weed. Speaking of drink, let's have another. Oh, so good. Such a nice, rich, kind of sweet flavor. But okay. So she was so fearful of having anything in her system, it would drive her to sometimes to the brink of huge anxiety. And through it all, Dani comforted her, talked to her, and never left her side. Not even when a bad turn of events that ended with the FBI taping off the club where Dani worked. She had to turn to stripping. They were flat broke. They had nowhere to go. The FBI seized the house. To support them, Allison took a job that she would have for the next 25 years. Right now, as they pulled into the parking lot, she was racing in her mind, trying to figure out a way to protect her now. She was going to be out there. Without the protection, Dani felt so helpless and responsible for everything. And she wasn't. I knew the path I was going to take, and I've talked about this. I kind of knew as a kid I was going to be a stripper, not in a bad way, because I wasn't raised in an environment that most people think strippers come from. None of the strippers I knew were. We all had upper middle class parents, maybe divorced, maybe not. We were all going to college. We all had future, So Allison takes one long last drag. Whoops. Okay. What is going on? Whoops. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I accidentally closed it, so I have to find my way. All right, so Allison takes one long last drag and throws it to the ground, stomping it out with her red Prada boots that she bought yesterday. She tends to shop when things get rough. It's true. Allison takes a deep breath and turns her to Dani. You ready? She nods. They walk towards the lobby of the hotel, heads high. As usual, the lobby practically stops and everybody turns as they walk in. They exude that certain presence that says, I am somebody. So these are two different parts of the story. Like I said, it's been 15 years since I actually read this. So these are two different parts of the story. This is kind of how it started and where it's culminating. All right. So we went from me becoming a stripper, which I did do for 13 years, to what's happening after. Okay. So they exude that certain presence that says, I am somebody. But who? They didn't know. The whispers start all around them. Something that they have grown accustomed to over the years. Because any groupie, especially in the 80s, knows the second you walk in that hotel lobby, whether it's the band people, the hotel staff, or just other people staying at the hotel randomly, they start talking. They see you and they're like, ooh, who's that? Who are they? And then they see you talking to the rock stars and it's like, oh, that's who they are. So that happens. All right. They never returned anybody's gazes. They continued towards the hotel bar as they have grown accustomed to over the years. Only this time it feels very different. They both know their lives will change after this. As they walk into the bar, two people near the back rise and smile at them. And here we go, thinks Allison. The woman thinks Allison and Dani. The woman steps forward. Allison? So nice to finally meet you face to face. Although I am sorry for their circumstances. I am Carolyn, and this is my photographer, John. True names. These were the reporters that did the Sunday Mail, that I did the interview. That was 99% and not a fucking thing that I said. So these are their real names. So, and that's what Dani and I were kind of doing. We're just kind of writing a fictional story around our true events type of thing, which kind of I'm deciding on my second book whether to be that or not, or to be like just my first one. So this was kind of the concept. All right. And this must be your friend Dani, part of the Salt Lake City Sisters, she exclaimed. They all exchanged niceties, then sit at the table that is furthest from all the people. A waitress comes over to take their orders, dirty martinis, top shelf, as always. There is an uncomfortable silence. Carolyn speaks up. I want to thank you for doing this. I know how hard this must be for you. I want to reassure you that I will handle this with the utmost respect and the dignity it deserves. She didn't. She lied. She knows it, Carolyn Graham. She was pissed off because her ex-boyfriend, the photographer John, was hitting on both Dani and I. Yeah, he was. So she kind of approached that story with a little bit of fucking venom. We didn't hit back, of course, because we were like, dude, fuck off. We don't even want to be doing this. We don't even want to know you people, you know. But necessary evil. Okay. Where was I? I want to reassure you that I will I will tell your story in your words. That is it. Nothing else. And that was actually said. You have my word. And if you are ready, we can go upstairs where we have more privacy. Allison feels that sense of dread sweep back over her. The one she has felt for months as she and Dani discussed this very possibility. The possibility of having their private lives go public after all these years. I want you to know, Carolyn, that I am doing this solely to put this issue to rest. Dani and I have gone through great lengths throughout the years, as have others, to keep ourselves out of public view. We succeeded until now. I am doing this only so my family, Dani's family, John's family, everybody, we can all get back to living our lives in private, the way we are used to living it. Because a lot of people think groupies are star-fucking fame-hungry bitches. No, we prefer to be behind the stage, on the side of the stage, behind the hotel room doors. We prefer our privacy, to have these moments with these rock stars that are just our own. That's exactly what we want. Doesn't always get it. Yeah. Okay. I will be upfront with you and say that I am extremely resentful that I have found it necessary to talk about something so private. Having said that, I want you to know that I chose you out of everybody because Dani and I feel confident in your word that you will treat this situation with great respect. All of us, my family, her family, the Rock family, we're all putting our trust in you. And I'm putting my trust in you, and there are others behind the scenes who are putting their trust in you. I sincerely hope you will not let us down. The waitress comes with their drinks, the toast with their usual cheers, big ears. That was a Dani and I thing because of one of our roadie friends that passed away, Robbie Jarvis. God rest you, honey. And they will all go upstairs to the hotel suite reporters had waiting. The room is big and bright, almost too bright, Allison thought. She decides she can never wake up in this room with a hangover, and it will do little to soothe her now. They settled back in big, overstuffed chairs, which overlooked the gulf outside. The gentle sounds of the waves lapping the shore made Allison's nerves calm just a bit. Dani handed her a joint. She took a deep drag. Allison, in interviewing different people you have known throughout the years, I came up with so many interesting facts, I don't even know where to begin. Seems you both have led quite an exciting life. I guess the best way to begin is just to get to know how it started at the beginning. So tell me how the moniker Salt Lake City Sisters came into being. Allison takes another deeper drag off the joint and hands it to Dani. They smile a crooked smile at each other, the same kind of smile they did as kids. Then it goes into our memory. They were floating on their backs in the middle of the river. The water was cold this time of year, colder than usual, but it was made up for by the warm sun beating down on their gently on their faces. The fragrant pines and dogwood trees cast shadows where their branches formed canopies above the water. The whippoorwills were chirping off in the distance, and all around was the sound of the forest that stretched out above them. The sound of the river slowly making its way through the hills, twigs breaking beneath the feet of deer who ran playfully about as they drank, fish jumping, squirrels flying from the branch to branch, and then breathing, floating, and feeling so peaceful. They could have stayed like this all day, and they usually did. The serenity of this spot on the river was second to none, and very secluded. The world was 1,000,000 miles away from this place, their place. Because where Dani and I grew up in Salem, Missouri, there was a river that we used to go hang out at. There was a little creek behind the house we used to go fishing that was like by my house. Her house was a couple houses away from me. And there was a little creek here, but there was another river on the other side of this other field that we would go and do all this stuff. And we would take some booze from our parents' thingy. And we grew wild out by this river. So, yep. We would just pick buds fresh from the fucking... I was all very dazed and confused. It really was. Suddenly, Dani startled out of her daze, gasping for air. She struggles to steady herself on the slick rocks beneath her feet, all the time choking, "Hi, baby." She hears Allison's laughter through the splashing. "That's it," she giggles and starts chasing Allison to slow her down with splashes of water to her face. They run as fast as they can, kicking, water screaming with laughter, then drop exhausted to the ground on the shoreline. Still laughing, Allison turns and grabs the joint they had brought with them and cranks the radio. "Sweet Emotion." This day really happened. It's playing. She takes a long drag and hands it to Dani. "Okay, if you had your choice between anybody in Aerosmith or anybody in Duran Duran, who would you pick?" We did this. Huh. Dani drags the joint and considers thoughtfully, as if this is the biggest decision of her 17-year-old life. So I was about 15 at the time. "Huh. I think I would have to say Steven Tyler. You." Allison laughs. "I say Joe Perry and John Taylor. A little rock and roll alley sandwich. See, this is the reason we don't have boyfriends. We sit around and daydream about the boys we will never, ever have. I mean, Salem, Come on. Who comes to Salem? Well, this one band from St. Louis did come to Salem, and my parents were out of town. And hers were still kind of fighting, so they didn't notice a lot of stuff. So we had decided to have a little party after this show at the town hall from this band from St. Louis. Danny remembers the name of this band. I don't. I want to be like, Take That. There wasn't even Take That, or that's, I don't even remember the name of the band. Her parents called my parents within a couple hours after breaking it up, so they knew we were grounded for like a month. All right. I know, says Allison, but I just can't help it. These Missouri guys don't do a thing for me. All my friends are already talking about who they want to marry and how many kids they want. The thought of having to do that makes me want to jump out of my skin. She playfully grabs at her skin and twists around her neck. They lay there looking at the clouds roll by as they continue to smoke. Yeah, look at our moms and dads. Mine 28 years of marriage, yours 25. And none of them can say a nice word to each other. Because Dani and I kind of, both of our older siblings had already gone out of the house, gone to college. So to get through this, we spent a lot of time together because, it was just hard when you hear your parents fighting all the time as kids. And I was actually 14 and Dani had left a year or so before when I was 13 and she was 15 to Salt Lake City. So that's kind of the truth behind that. But all right. Yeah, and they can't even say a nice word to each other, which sucks because you think after that many years, they could at least be friends. Oh shit, Dani, what time is it? We're going to be late for our tea time. Oh shit, we gotta go. We've got some golf to do. They jumped up and grabbed their stuff and shoved it into the bags and took off running through the forest. They come to the edge of the forest, and on the other side of the clearing, on the top of the hill, sits their homes. Allison's huge brick house and Dani's big black wooden one. They run through the field, horses chasing them the whole way, and run up right to the door and slow down at the last second, hoping to go unnoticed as they sneak into Allison's house. Her mom is in the kitchen cooking dinner. Her dad in the family room watching golf, drinking a scotch and water. They are just about home free when that stupid creaky stair gives them away. Dani, Allison, get down here, calls Allison's dad. Did I not tell you to be home by 2 exactly so that we can make our tea time, he bellows. Yes, they say in unison. And is it or is it not 2:05? Because like I said, it was kind of, we were together so much, it was just like they knew when I was coming home. Dani, same with her parents. They knew, Trish and everybody knew that when we were going to Dani's, I was probably with her. Especially in the summers and stuff, because we would just sort of take off, We would both go to different families for a few weeks and stuff, and then when we'd get back, it was always down to the river. And the thing with the horses is actually true. I know that sounds very kind of Hollywood made up, but the neighbors at the end, like our street went like this, and the neighbors at the corner at the end of the street, the Craigs, who own the local food distribution center, Kraft bought them out, but they also owned buggy racing horses. So to get the shortcut, instead of going halfway through through the rest of the town, was to cut through the field. And those horses would chase us every motherfucking time. Yes, it is 2:05, Allison said. Okay, then you're both grounded for 2 weeks. Now, Dani, you go upstairs. Allison, get ready and get back down here because we have 10 minutes here in 10 minutes so we can eat and go. So Dani went back to her house, got ready, came back, because all this actually happened. So Allison walks down the stairs and into the kitchen. Her mother's maid scurries out the door because we did have, there was 5 kids in my family. My mom worked, my dad worked, so we did have a maid, and nothing bad about that because my grandma on my dad's side was a maid for the finest families in Detroit, Michigan. So that's somebody's living. And she was part of the family, Linda. She was really just, she was there. She was part of the family twice a week with her kids and stuff. So I don't want people to think wrong about that, like we were some the Swans, like Truman Capote and the Swans. Not like that. Just busy mom. Same with Dani. Busy moms, busy dads. The 70s, they still had parties to go to, kids to take care of. Couldn't be bothered to clean up the house. So, all right. So the maid scurries out the door to get home to her family. Allison's sister has come up from her usual spot in the dark basement to grace us with her presence for dinner. Must be a special occasion, she thinks sarcastically. Dani is already helping Allison's mom serve dinner as Allison's dad comes in and sits down. There is the usual awkward 5 or so seconds as Allison's dad looks around the table, deciding who will be in the hot seat tonight. Dani sits straight up, because we did. Don't let your back rest against the chair. You know better than that. Because we did. We had very strict manners. Sit up straight. Hold your fork right. Chew properly. And as one of my other sisters found out, never fart at the table. That was especially funny. We still laugh about that one. All right. So, Allison sighs with the pressure on Dani's manners. She is off the hook and can eat her meal in guarded peace. Near the end of the meal, Allison's mom gets up and pours a cup of coffee for she and her father. Something they have done a million times, but this time there is something different. A look in their eyes as they exchange glances. Allison's mom sits down and starts to speak. Dani, I need you to go home. We've got to talk to Allison. And this is not exactly how it went. At all. But we kind of, like I said, it was fiction based on our reality. So Allison, there's something, and kids, because one of my other sisters was there as well. So kids, there is something we have to tell you. It's not going to be easy for any of us. Allison's mom waits for seems like what's an eternity. Your father and I have decided to get a divorce. We haven't been happy for a long time, as I'm sure you are all aware, and we just think it's time. They all just stared at each other. What does one say when they feel like they have had their air punched out of them? Your mother and I have given this a lot of thought, her father continued. It hasn't been an easy decision, but it is the best decision. Your mother has chose to move out of Missouri to Utah, where your grandma and grandpa are. Your mother has chosen, since your 2 older siblings are both in college, they will stay here. Corby will be going to college next month. That's my sister. Nobody bother her. So she will stay here until the fall. Allison, you will go live with your mother in Utah. She just stared in confused disbelief. Had they just heard that? I mean, I was about to be a sophomore. I was just getting to start on the basketball team and the track team. After all that work, leave? Leave my friends? Leave Dani? Virtually the only lives I have ever known? Now, kids, their mom said, remember that we don't talk about this to anybody. As usual, family business is family business. We might be flawed, but family is all we have, and we have to remember to stick to that so we can get through this. And as they drove to the country club, the full impact of the life they were leaving came over them. Allison told Dani while they were in the women's lounge, changing into their golf gear. Dani broke down in tears. She hadn't known how to tell Allison. She was moving in 2 months. Also to Salt Lake City. And as Dani carefully told Allison, they cried. They knew that they would be together again, but it would be months. Because I think it was actually about 10 months before we moved to Salt Lake City, and Dani had left in a couple months. So I guess it was less than a year. So, but we fortunately, because our parents were close, both of our moms got, places in the same. We went and made sure we were in the same school because they knew it was important that we would have each other. So she spent most of the summer and then part of the school year. And then I came, well, so no, she moved halfway through the school year. I came at the end of the summer, beginning of my sophomore year. So it was kind of, yeah, so this would have been in the middle of my freshman year. So how she puts it, but long story. Anyway, so, oh, hi, Boo Boo Kitty. Okay. In a relatively short time, they wouldn't be making this drive down the long dirt road. Dani and Allison both thought about it as they walked out into the first tee of the country club. In a relatively short time, they wouldn't be making this drive down that long dirt road covered by the oaks so big that you feel you were driving beneath a tunnel of swords held by giant soldiers standing at attention. They wound up the driveway to the clubhouse and all climbed out of the cream-colored town car they had driven for about a year now. Dad, Allison said, looking at him, I don't feel like golfing right now. I think I'm just going to go back by the pool. Yeah, I'm going to go play tennis, said Dani. They all went their separate ways with their burdens hidden beneath their lips that were sealed out of respect for the family that they were about to lose. The families, excuse me. Allison changed in the pool house and went out to find went out to find a chair that she could sit in without talking to anybody. Since it was Sunday, there was no such luck. Leanne, Kelly, Jamel, Melissa, they were on one side, and Steve and Dani were on the other. These are guys, not Dani. Then there was the local little white trash woman that nobody sat by. Her name was Teresa, but we call her Trash Queen. She broke up both of our parents' marriages. Teresa Hill, you fucking whore. Okay. Anyway, it's okay. My sister's best friend slept with her husband to get back at her, so kind of karma. But anyway, small town life, you guys. Small town people are way dastardly more than in rock and roll by any day. Trust me, I've seen it more than once. All right. She was always around at that pool, always having an affair with one father or another. Nobody ever knew who she was there with, and nobody ever asked. We just didn't make her feel welcome. Either way, she was going to have to sit with somebody. Under the circumstances, the lesser of all evils were the boys who she knew wouldn't talk much. She waved a hello at Leanne and Kelly and went, oh, this is me she was talking about. Allison knew she was going to have to sit with somebody. Okay. She waved hello at Leanne and Kelly and went and pulled up a chair between Steve and Dani. Hey, boys, she said with as much happiness as she could muster. Whoa, what is that, princess? You sounded like you just lost your best friend. She sat for a second trying to compose herself. Allison was holding back the tears because she knew she was losing her best friend, at least for a little while. So much for not talking to the boys, she thought. Okay, I'm just going to say it, Allison said, and I'm only going to say it once. After this, I won't mention it, and I would appreciate it if you guys didn't either and kept it to yourself. Yeah, sure, said Dani and Steve in unison. My parents are getting a divorce. So are Dani's. Dani's leaving soon. We're not going to leave till after the school year, towards the end of the summer. Oh, princess baby, said Dani. I am so sorry. He grabbed her arm in that comfortable, familiar way he had of doing, as if to say, whatever your burden, give it to me. It felt weird to say it out loud, like it made it real. So your mom found out about the trash queen, huh? Said Steve. Dani punched Steve's arm quickly as the words came out of his mouth. She stared at him in utter disbelief. Just a few hours earlier, she was floating on her favorite part of the river, her best friend by her side, sun on their faces, happy as can be. And a few short hours later, both their worlds had changed, and now she was trying to take this final piece of the puzzle. Not her dad. Her dad? The one that she stays up late night watches John Wayne movies with? The one she fishes with at the crack of dawn almost every Saturday in the summer? Not the one who keeps telling us that family is everything. And that this is all we have. He wouldn't do that, but he did. Did it on a few occasions because we do have a half-brother in Michigan that's still in denial. 23andMe, don't lie, dude. All right. She wasn't even thinking when she got up and turned towards the trash queen. So today she must be here on my family's membership, she thought. The fury rose with each step she took. That woman sunning herself at the side of the pool, knowing she was here, courtesy of Allison's family's falling apart. She was everything Allison had to take in the last few hours epitomized, and sitting by the pool, her pool, at her country club. As she walked, Allison was vaguely aware of the boys trying to stop her, hands grabbing at her arms. Vaguely aware as the boys ran to the other side of the pool to get Leanne and Kelly. Her mind was focused on the woman in the chair. Allison strides up, so she is looking down on the woman and just stares at her. The woman doesn't move. Allison slaps the forehead to wake her up out of her daze. What? What the? The woman sits up in her chair. I hear you are my guest today, Teresa. Silence. What's that? I can't hear you. Maybe this will help. Allison reaches out, and before she knows what she is doing, she grabs the woman by the hair and drags her off the chair. As she fights to stand her ground, as Teresa fights to stand her ground, Allison drags her across the sidewalk and into the pool. They both struggle to their feet the whole time, still gripping onto her hair. For once, being so tall pays off, and Allison gets the better of her and holds her head under the water, her mom's face going through her head. The look on her face as she told them about the divorce. The look of pain she had, and what she now realizes was a smug look on her father's face as he told them. God, how she hated him. Finally, her friends pulled her grip loose from the woman and pulled her away just as Dani came around the corner. Kelly must have run off and got her from the tennis court when the commotion started. As she saw the scene and heard the bits of conversations from those that gathered around, it became clear to Dani the full effect of what was happening. She ran down the stairs of the pool where the trash queen was still trying to compose herself and proceeded to take the woman by the back of the bathing suit and haul her ass out of the pool. Dani grabbed the woman's clothes in one hand and with the other threw her to the ground. Your suit, Dani said. She looked curiously at Allison. My what? Your suit. Give me your suit now or we will take it from you. Either way, it's coming off. She just stared. You can't be serious. The 6 of them stood their ground. She had slept with 3 out of the 5 fathers standing here. We are all very serious. Now do it. She stood up and took her suit off and handed it to Dani. Now you get the hell out of here in the same way you came here, naked and full of shame. Because that is based on something that actually happened. It wasn't necessarily the country club pool. I ran into this Teresa Hill bitch when McDonald's, Days Confused, you see everybody cruising around town. That actually happened, and we would go from McDonald's through this one part of town, go to the Sonic, turn around, until we park and talk to people. So I ran into Teresa at the McDonald's. And she had told Dani, well, your dad's a great lay, but yours is a better fuck. So I took her and I fucking pushed her around and crushed the golden arches on the side of the building with her face. So that's actually what happened. And then Dani jumped in. Couldn't do anything because she was a grown woman. We were underage. Heh, neener. Because, we were kids and we were snarky little bitches because, you had just destroyed our lives. This woman was sleeping with Dani's dad and my dad. So. And with somebody else's dad in that group. All right. Now we skip forward. The 3 of them were unloading the rental truck into the oddest new home they could ever have imagined. They had just come off a 5-day trip from Missouri to Utah. Aside from having to say goodbye to a father that she was still mad at, everything that could have gone wrong had. Allison's mom, in her intense emotional state, had backed the rental truck into the roof of their house the day they moved. The car with their dog and cat inside had come off the rental truck and almost fell into a river and 100 miles out of Salt Lake City and having a run completely out of money because our father cut us off. Her brother informed their mom the rental house they were going to move into had been sold and now they had nowhere to go. Okay, sorry, don't know if you heard the car alarm. So Allison's mom took this place because it was the first she can find. The other option was staying with her brother and his new wife, whom nobody liked. This place was so much smaller than where they had come from, although she thought at one time it would have been considered elegant. It was decorated 70s style with shag carpet and bright pink bathrooms and mirrors on walls everywhere. It was, however, the best school district in Salt Lake City, and a few houses down from where Dani and her mom were renting. Yeah, so we were back. The little two girls who were sisters from different misters. In fact, that's her ringtone. Sister, sister, sister from a different mister. Okay. Where we go? Okay. But in the best school district in Salt Lake City, which is why her mom had chosen it. That and because Allison's father had left us financially devastated. It was all she could afford. Because during the divorce, my father's lawyer advised him to freeze the bank account so none of them could touch it. Say hello to Beluga. Say hello, my baby Beluga. But so my father took some bad advice, so my grandparents took care of us for a while. Till mom and my sister, there was another sister with us because, like I said, I have another sister that's close in age with me that was still in high school, and she had come to Salt Lake City with us. So until everything that was settled down, and in the 80s, my mom was getting like $2,000 a month in child support, and that was a lot of money back then. So, and our rent for this it was a really cool place. But anyway, it was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, it was a nice place. Huge kitchen. So, and Dani's was kind of the same thing. It was kind of the same neighborhood, and maybe I'll go in the neighborhood. Maybe I'll bring Dani because we've been talking about going downtown and redoing the thingy. But okay, I go off on too many tangents. All right, anyway. So the day we moved in bordered on scary and exciting. The emotions went back and forth. Allison's mom was busy giving it all she could to be positive in light of the situation. A few hours into it, there was a knock at the door. It was a neighbor whom Mom immediately invited in. She carried a tray of cookies and a pitcher of homemade lemonade. She looked so friendly and that we were all breathed a sigh of relief. The new neighbor chatted about all the neighbors we had, especially the new family, another new single mom and her daughter, about my age, that had just moved in. We already knew him. But Mom wanted to see where she was going with this, so Mom wasn't going to say that. Because sometimes it's best just to let people talk and see what their story reveals, because sometimes... And these Salt Lake City ladies who we're about to find out, the specific group of Salt Lake City ladies, they are chatty and gossipy. Okay. Filling us in on the names and ages of all the children and other facts we didn't really care about, but we were happy to hear nonetheless. Besides the cookies were delicious, and the lemonade reminded Mom and me a little bit of home. What ward do you belong to? The woman asked after a while. Ward? My mom said. Yes, stake, ward. You are LDS, aren't you? Because that's what they call their parishes here in Salt Lake City, the ward, the stake, stuff like that. That's the neighborhoods. There's so many Mormon churches here, it makes 7-Eleven jealous. Okay, Alice and her mom just looked at each other. Oh, Mormon? No, we aren't Mormon. We're Episcopalian. I don't recall ever having seen such a quick exit in my life as that woman made upon hearing that we weren't Mormon. And that was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to being an outsider in a town that was run and structured around Mormons. So that was another good thing, Dani and I living next to each other. We had each other through all this. We were able to in a neighborhood full of mostly Mormons and maybe 3 Catholics and 2 Episcopalian families. So it was kind of nice to have each other. And because everything we were going through, and our moms had each other and kind of leaned on each other a bit, which was really nice. They stayed kind of friends. I mean, hell, both their husbands have been fucking the same women. They had a lot in common. All right. Dani and Allison came to find that's what it was like. That is what, like that. Dani and Allison came to find that it was like that. Okay, I see what she was saying. That it was like that wherever they went. Nowhere was as bad, though, as in school. It was a large high school, about 3 times larger than theirs in Missouri. Because we had gone from a town of 500 people to a school of 3,000 people. It was 2 or 3,000, like 2,500, 3,000 at the time. So it was kind of sticker shock, small town girls coming into the big city, and wow. And our duplex, where we lived was right by, and then Dani's was a little bit down the hill. So, okay, and I think that's actually how Mom ended up finding it, was talking to Dani's mom. And, which it wasn't really bad, but for the time, $800 a month for a 3-bedroom, or 4-bedroom, 3 baths, 2 living rooms, stuff like that. But anyway, so that wasn't bad. But anyway, so this, Amy now, the teachers weren't so worried about their attendance or grades since they were not only not Mormon, but also because they weren't the child of the local celebrities whose other children were in attendance. They held their grades up, but only just barely enough to get by, B's most of the time. The kids who weren't Mormon tended to stick together. They were the kids who gathered in the back parking lot each morning to decide what to do with their day. Skiing, road trip, hiking, anything but school. At home, their mothers were both in deep states of depressions and would go to work and come straight home only to go to bed, and rightfully so. It was up to Dani to cook in her household and for Allison to cook in hers as well. And they made sure that they had everything they needed in case their moms forgot. And sometimes that was the case. Each night, after all the dishes were done, Amy walked down to Dani's, where she and Allison had set themselves up a pillow room in the basement in a closet nobody used. It wasn't really a closet. It was like there was 2 twin beds that made up kind of an L-shaped pillows and stuff, kind of a little couch, and there was a TV. There was just kind of a rumpus room type of thing. It was directly underneath the stairs, so it was long and progressively taller. She had had it wallpapered with pictures of Jim Morrison, the Beatles, Duran Duran. Candles were the only light in the room. Dani reached over to the familiar little stereo she found at a yard sale down the street months earlier. She popped in a worn cassette and heard the familiar low sensual voice it filled her ears. Sidewalk crouches at her feet like a dog that begs for something sweet. She lights up a joint. Allison knocks softly on the door. I heard the music. I'm coming in. Yeah, but only if we don't talk. Allison crawls in and takes the joint off of Dani's hands. They lay back and listen to the music fill the closet. They feel like the sensation in their bellies. The one that feels like a slow, slithering flower has snaked its way into the very center of you and is slightly twisting around, lifting you up as the music engulfs them. They are 1,000 miles away, floating on the river again, the whippoorwills chirruping, and they are good again, whole. The bad things that came with the day leave as the music flows in, and they both wonder what is around the next corner. I wonder if I'm going to stop here. Maybe I'll stop here because we're an hour in, and I think I'm going to finish a little bit more. Let me see. Sorry, I don't mean to go silent on you. I'm just kind of reading. Yeah, I think, we're going to stop there because then and I'll read more on another episode because this is kind of setting it up to where Dani and I just come to Salt Lake City and we just both started at Brighton High School. Now, Dani had ended up leaving about halfway through her senior year because I was a sophomore, she was a senior, because she wanted to go back to Salem and graduate with her friends, and she did. And she stayed at our friend Leanne's house, and yeah, so this is kind of where we are at the moment. And how did we both end up backstage? We do know about that Rat concert, but there's more. So, all right, you guys. Hope you enjoyed the reading. Hope it kind of gives you more insight, not just into me, but into Dani as well. Because like I said, Dani and I, we had so many parallels in our lives. When things were going great with our parents, things were great. It was that perfect, dazed and confused upbringing. But then when they went south for the same fucking whore. So, yeah, but that's the beginning. Hope you kind of liked it. I know it was kind of I was reading it a little bit choppy because, like I said, I haven't read it in 15 years. It's the first time I've read it. So, part 2 is coming soon. How did it all happen for Dani and I? Because let's see, what page is this? This is 12 pages. And I think, what page am I on? Oh, 7. So I'm on we're going to page 6. We're about halfway there. So part 2 coming up on this. I'll probably do it for Wednesday's episode. But all right, thank you guys for getting through the episode. Everybody who's made it this far. Hope you're enjoying Dani's writing because I think she's very talented. She's an amazing photographer as well. She's got a lot of talent. She's an incredibly smart woman. Just beautiful, incredible person. But I think, what's her name? What is her name? She was married to, I think she's married to Neil Young now. She played the mermaid. Really beautiful blonde. Anyway, that's who would play her in a movie. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you're going to enjoy more. I think I'll kind of leave you hanging. Maybe I won't do it for the Wednesday or Thursday episode. I'll probably be back on Thursday because I have a lot to do this week with cleaning up my dad's mess from his second ex-wife. Good times. So, all right, you guys, again, thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for all the love, all the support you're all bringing to the channel. You guys truly mean the world to me, the friendships, everything. I know I suck at answering emails. I will be taking more time. I'm going to take a few extra days off work just so I have time to really devote to answering my emails and getting back to everybody. Because it's not that I don't appreciate you or I'm ignoring you. It's just that sometimes my depression falls really hard during the week. So, and I have 20 million things to do and it just exhausts me mentally like it does everybody. So thank you for your love and patience so much. But all right. And to those of you just lurking around, go down, fiddle about, hit that subscribe, become a member, hit the share, get this channel out because this is one of the first channels where I'm just sitting here talking about my own experiences and my opinion on the world that I'm a part of. I'm not some AI generated, same old story from people who they might love rock and roll music, but they weren't there for any of it. So share it. Get the truth out here, you guys. All right. And thank you so much again, as always. We will see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Use your left hand. Could be a little less messy. Who knows? Cheers, big ears.